Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Need to get up to speed on the biggest threads buzzing in tech, finance, and culture? Well, you're in the right spot. We're cutting through the noise, getting right into today's biggest posts. We're looking at huge infrastructure plays, that tension between AI hype and, well, the reality on the ground. And there's a pretty nasty trademark fight brewing in open source we need to talk about. We've got the posts everyone's talking about, and we're going to give you the insights fast.
Yeah, quite a stack today. And the mission, like you said, is clear. Boil down what really matters from these trends. We'll move quick, but, really unpack what's behind each of these posts.
Okay, let's kick off with the hard reality of tech decoupling. It's really reshaping supply chains. Got a stark quote here from Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang. This was shared by @YushinGUW. He says, "We, Nvidia, are 100% out of China. We went from 95% market share to 0%. I can't imagine any policymaker thinking that's a good idea."
Wow. Yeah, that quote just lays it bare, doesn't it? The speed of this decoupling. And what's really interesting, the immediate result, this policy, right, meant to slow China down. It's actually forcing them to get self-sufficient faster. Labs like DeepSeek, they're now all in on domestic Chinese chips, mostly Huawei's Ascend stuff for training, for inference, everything.
But isn't the word that Ascend, still lags way behind NVIDIA's top chips?
Yeah.
Is this zero market share thing really a sign U.S. policy is, well, backfiring?
It's not exactly backfiring, maybe, but it is creating this powerful push. The sources show, yeah, Ascend chips are less efficient right now, sure, but developers are finding clever ways around it. Like, they might stack double the number of chips just to get maybe half the efficiency of one top-tier NVIDIA GPU. So it confirms what people like Andrew Yang have been warning about. Cut off the supply completely, and you trade that short-term advantage for, well, guaranteed long-term Chinese independence. The goal was staying ahead, but the result might be a serious competitor maybe sooner than planned.
Okay, so shifting from that geopolitical tension to the corporate deals shaping this.
Yeah.
Elon Musk shared this video. It's pure theater, really. Jensen Huang hand-delivering the new DGX Spark system right there at Starbase. It's a very public display of partnership.
Oh, yeah. And it really highlights this 9-year relationship, which, basically kicked off the whole modern AI boom. You got to remember, Musk bought the very first DGX-1 system way back in 2016. That thing was a beast. Huge, power-hungry.
Well, now this DGX Spark.
Right. Compare that old machine to this new one. The Spark is tiny, super compact, uses just like 40 watts. But here's the kicker. It delivers 5 times the compute power of that original DGX-1.
5 times. Wow.
Yeah. It shows how AI processing is moving beyond just these massive centralized data centers. It's heading into cars, robots, other decentralized systems, exactly the stuff Musk is building. It really shows how fast AI access is evolving.
And speaking of those huge data centers, they're basically propping up the whole U.S. economy, according to some pretty wild data.
Yeah.
At Unusual Whales shared this figure from a Harvard economist. Without data centers, GDP growth was 0.1% in the first half of 2025.
That number, 92% of recent economic growth coming from AI infrastructure investment. You really have to pause and let that sink in. This isn't just some trend. It's like the main thing pushing back against a general economic slowdown post-pandemic.
But hang on, when we say economic growth here, is that just the money spent building these things? Or is it the actual output from the AI running inside them?
That's the crucial distinction, yeah. Right now, a lot of this impact is the capital spending, the construction, the gear, the hardware supply chain. It's investment in future productivity. But, there's a catch, a dark side even. Those data centers need massive amounts of water for cooling. And the sources show there's growing environmental pushback, especially in places like Texas, where they're building a lot of this stuff. Places already facing drought. So we're getting this incredible economic boost short-term, sure, but we're basically trading water for compute power.
Okay, that connection between the physical infrastructure and its costs leads us right into the speculative money fueling the next wave.
Yeah.
AI agents at Ariswit dropped the number that got everyone buzzing, $133.07 seed round. Just say it again.
$133.7 million for a seed round. I mean, that's just unheard of even now. And this went to a company called General Intuition. They're focused on embodied AI.
Embodied AI, meaning?
Meaning models that can actually interact with the physical world. They're training them partly using like spatial reasoning from video games.
Talk about speculative bets. That's like pushing all your chips in, right?
Yeah.
Why are VCs making these enormous kind of risky bets on something that isn't even fully proven commercially?
Because the potential payoff, true, reliable, autonomous agents, that's worth well, everything. The second an AI can reliably handle complex new tasks in the real world, that changes the whole economy. So VCs are racing, basically scrambling, to own a piece of what they think is the next big foundational model, even if it means paying unicorn prices before there's even a product.
But then you get this splash of cold water, maybe needed reality from Andrej Karpathy. At Scaling 01 shared his critique. And it's blunt, and it's not. It's slop.
Yeah, Karpathy's voice definitely carries weight. And he's saying current AI agents, they're unreliable, make too many mistakes. He argues the industry is overhyping what they can do, probably because of all that fundraising pressure we just talked about. These things handle simple stuff fine, but throw them a curveball, a new situation, they fall apart. Produce, as he puts it, slop.
So if Karpathy, a top expert, is calling it slop, how does that square with VCs throwing $133 million at it? Or are they just buying the hype?
Yeah. Well, it's that classic gap, isn't it, between the market excitement and the actual tech reality right now. VCs are investing in the potential, what that $133 million could build. The promise of fixing the slop problem. Karpathy's looking at the present, what we have now. And, both can be true at the same time. We're kind of in that awkward phase where the tools are amazing for routine things, but super frustrating when you push them just a little too hard.
But then, here's the counterpoint that makes this whole thing so interesting. At Wes Rothmoney announced some big science news today. A black hole physicist, Alex Lupsasca, has joined OpenAI's For Science team.
Right, and this isn't just a random hire. There's a specific story here that really shows AI's power when it clicks. Lupsasca publicly said he joined after seeing GPT-5 Pro solve these complex symmetry generators in one of his own black hole papers. Now, this task, it's really complex manual symbolic math. It took him days to do by hand.
Days, okay.
And
GPT-5 Pro
solved the whole thing in under 30 minutes.
Under 30 minutes. That's not just faster. That changes how you even do theoretical physics.
Exactly. It proves AI can handle the really tedious, complicated math, the symbolic stuff that bogs down high-level physics. If the AI takes care of the complex algebra, it frees up the human experts to just focus on the big ideas, the hypotheses. It could massively speed up discovery, especially in fields like general relativity that are just full of mathematical complexity.
Okay, let's pivot now to financial discipline. Startup world stuff. Paul Graham, offered some, straightforward wisdom. Holding extra money in the bank is insurance. It's a luxury successful startups have.
Yeah, sounds basic, right? But so many startups just burn through cash trying to grow too fast. Graham's saying the best companies treat cash reserves like an insurance policy for, downturns, unexpected market shifts, whatever comes up.
Got an example of who's actually doing this well, walking the talk.
Replit is the perfect case study here. Their CEO shared recently they managed to scale revenue massively, went from like $2.8 million annualized to $150 million. Huge growth. All while keeping most of their $97.5 million Series B funding just sitting there, unspent. That screams efficiency to investors, shows they're cash independent. And the market rewards that. Those kinds of startups get premium valuations because they don't need the next funding round just to survive.
All right, moving from smart money moves to some pretty ugly legal fights. Open source is kind of battling corporate legal threats again. Theo from T3.GG is publicly calling out the Novolab CEO, Amir Helium. Apparently, he's threatening legal action against two young developers over their open source Helium browser. Theo put it really strongly. You claimed you wanted to resolve this privately over DMs, Wuko agreed, and you followed up with legal threats. Not letting you control this narrative. You're attacking an open source project made by two young devs. Pathetic.
Oof. Yeah, this looks like a classic case of the corporate world trying to, flex its legal muscle against the community vibe. Nova Labs, they run the Helium network, right? They're claiming trademark infringement, specifically class 38 and 42, that's like telecom and computer services.
But wait, the developers are making a browser? They're not running a network? Does Nova Labs even have a strong case there? It seems thin.
Well, their argument is probably that the name Helium is too similar to their brand and might confuse people. But honestly, the key thing here is the backlash. By going after two young open source devs like this, Nova Labs completely misread the room. The community is pushing back hard. And ironically, it's giving the developers and their browser way more attention than any marketing budget ever could have. It's kind of a textbook corporate self-own.
Okay, quick wrap-up section now. Shifting gears to design. Mark Gurman, the Apple guy, analyzed the new iPhone 17 Air sales, he said. Outselling the Plus or Mini models is the bar, and I think the Air has done that, so that's a win. We've known for a while the Air would be niche. It's a technology exercise for the future foldables.
Yeah, that technology exercise bit is key. The Air wasn't meant to be a massive seller. It's niche on purpose. It's Apple using a real product launch to test out new engineering ideas, specifically for future stuff like foldables, super thin designs.
But why launch it at all then, if it's just practice?
Well, it proves the tech works, right?
Right.
And lets them see how people react to different shapes and sizes. Sure, some of the pro users are already worried about battery life with the slimmer design. You see that chatter. But people who actually own it seem to like the thin feel, the ergonomics, and say performance is pretty comparable. So, yeah, it's a win because it set up a new category and did better than the old Plus and mini phones did.
All right, next up, developer humor. At ForgeBits had this satirical hot take.
Yeah.
We are so close to having basically reinvented PHP.
Haha. Yeah, that's prime developer inside baseball humor.
Yeah.
It's poking fun at how some modern tools, specifically the bun runtime in the JavaScript world, are trying so hard to be fast and simple that they're accidentally bringing back old ways of doing things, stuff that was common in legacy PHP, like, embedding SQL commands or shell commands right there in the code, just to avoid setting up complex modern frameworks.
So wait, after years of building these super complex layers to avoid PHP's old problems, they're swinging back to simple and basically rebuilding PHP.
Exactly. That's the joke. It perfectly captures that endless debate in software. Simplicity and speed versus structure and complexity for big projects. Punchline is, sometimes you innovate so much you end up right back where you started, just maybe slightly faster this time.
Okay, last one. Let's end on a bit of spicy political commentary online. At TRHLofficial shared this satirical graphic about supposed global no kings protests, and their only comment was, half of these countries have kings.
Classic internet fact check via dry humor. The post was making fun of this viral meme that claimed 18 countries were holding these big anti-authoritarian protests together, and the poster just pointed out the obvious problem. A bunch of the countries listed, like the UK, Sweden, Japan, they're constitutional monarchies. They literally have kings or emperors.
Right.
So it's a quick, sharp way to puncture that kind of online exaggeration. And it ties into the actual, real anti-authoritarian rallies planned in the U.S. for tomorrow, October 18th.
Okay, that was a whirlwind tour through today's hottest X threads. You should be fully caught up on the vibe now.
Yeah, definitely covered a lot of ground. And, thinking about the conflicts we touched on today, we saw these big corporate players versus smaller, decentralized groups, from global decoupling, forcing self-sufficiency, right down to Nova Labs going after those two young open source devs. It kind of raises an interesting question for you, the listener, to chew on. When you see these corporate legal battles, these attempts to control public perception and ownership of foundational open tech think Nova Labs versus those developers, how do we tell the difference? How do we distinguish between, legitimate defense of intellectual property and just calculated corporate moves designed purely to squash competition and innovation? Something to think about.
That is a tough question for our very digital, very fractured world. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Keep learning, and we'll catch you next time.